Ambassador Zethkri's 4 eyes dilated in horror as the data streams cascaded across his neural interface. The Galactic Council's most classified archives had just revealed something that made his exoskeleton tremble with primal fear. Earth, that backwater planet humanity called home, wasn't what they had believed it to be. "This cannot be accurate," he whispered, his translator struggling with the emotional undertones of his native Vexthari language. "Run the analysis again." The AI's response was immediate and unwavering. Probability of error, 0.001%. The data has been verified through 17 independent sources across 43 different star systems. Zethkri's mandibles clicked nervously as he absorbed the implications. For the past century, the Galactic Council had operated under the assumption that humans were just another species, slightly more aggressive than most, perhaps, but ultimately unremarkable. They had been so very wrong. The truth was far more terrifying. Earth wasn't a planet that had evolved intelligent life. Earth was a prison. The revelation had started 3 months ago when the archaeological team on Kepler 442b had discovered the ruins. Ancient structures, clearly predating any known civilization, bore inscriptions in a language that had taken the Council's best xenolinguists weeks to decipher. When they finally cracked the code, the message was simple and chilling. "Here lies the Warden's Gate. Let none wake what sleeps beyond the blue world." Further investigation had led them to similar ruins scattered across the galaxy, all pointing toward a single solar system, all pointing toward Earth. The archives revealed a conspiracy of silence spanning millennia. The Ancients, a civilization, so advanced they had transcended physical existence, had once ruled the galaxy with benevolent wisdom. But even they had encountered something that terrified them enough to quarantine an entire world. Humanity. Not modern humanity, with their primitive spacecraft and nuclear weapons. Something far older. Something that had existed on Earth long before the current human civilization had ever drawn breath. Zethkri's research had uncovered fragments of ancient records describing the Terran anomaly, a species that defied every known law of evolution and consciousness. These beings possessed an attribute so dangerous that the ancients had been forced to take drastic action. They couldn't destroy them. The records were unclear about why, but the implication was that these beings were somehow essential to the fabric of reality itself. Instead, the ancients had done something unprecedented. They had induced a form of evolutionary amnesia, forcing the dangerous consciousness to fragment and reincarnate in diminished forms. Modern humans were the result. Fragments of something, cosmic and terrible, scattered across countless individual minds, each one carrying only a tiny spark of what they once were. But the spark was still there. Zethkri pulled up the classified behavioral studies the Council had been conducting on human populations. The data painted a picture that, in light of recent discoveries, was absolutely terrifying. Humans consistently displayed capabilities that should have been impossible for their technological level. Their pattern recognition abilities surpassed quantum computers. Their capacity for adaptation in hostile environments exceeded species that had evolved specifically for those conditions. Most disturbing of all, they showed signs of accessing information they had no possible way of knowing. The Council had attributed these anomalies to human unpredictability and what they termed illogical creativity. Now Zethkri understood the truth. Humans weren't being creative or unpredictable. They were remembering. The archaeological evidence suggested that every few thousand years, enough of the fragments would begin to coalesce. The resulting individuals would display abilities that bordered on the divine. The ancient records called them awakened ones, and described them with a mixture of awe and absolute terror. These awakened humans had once reshaped reality with their thoughts. They had moved between dimensions as easily as walking through doorways. They had possessed knowledge of cosmic truths that even the ancients found incomprehensible. And according to the data Zethkri was analyzing, the fragments were beginning to coalesce again. Statistical models showed an exponential increase in human anomalous achievements over the past century. Artists creating works that induced transcendent experiences in alien minds. Scientists making intuitive leaps that bypassed centuries of logical development. Individuals demonstrating what could only be described as prophetic abilities. The humans themselves seemed unaware of what they were becoming. They attributed their growing capabilities to technological advancement and improved education. But Zethkri could see the pattern the ancients had feared. Humanity was waking up. The most terrifying aspect wasn't their power, though the record suggested that fully awakened humans could manipulate matter and energy on a cosmic scale. It wasn't even their apparent immortality, achieved through some form of consciousness. Transference that the ancients never fully understood. The true horror lay in their fundamental nature. The ancients' final records suggested that humans weren't originally from this universe at all. They were refugees, or perhaps prisoners, from somewhere else entirely. Somewhere that existed outside the normal flow of space and time, and they were trying to go home. The implications were staggering. If the humans succeeded in fully awakening, if they remembered how to access their original realm, they might inadvertently unravel the barriers between dimensions. Reality itself could collapse into whatever cosmic nightmare they had originally fled. Zethkri's hands shook as he composed his report to the council. How did one tell the galaxy's governing body that the species they had welcomed into their ranks, the species they had been trading with, learning from, and slowly growing fond of, was actually a fragmented cosmic horror whose awakening could end existence as they knew it? The bitter irony wasn't lost on him. Humans had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. The truth was that the universe desperately hoped they would remain alone, lost, fragmented, and forever dreaming of home without ever remembering how to find it. But looking at the data, Zethkri feared it might already be too late. The humans were beginning to remember.